Alrighty. Welcome back to. Okay. Welcome back to, for the first time in almost 3 weeks. Do you love your mother and her two multi hit attacks? Yes, that is the name of this episode. Well, that's the name of the series, anyways. Yeah, been a few weeks. Unlike when I did Jobless Incarnation, it took me almost a freaking month before I finally got back to do another episode. Because there's a lot of light novels to read. Thank God this one did not take as long as that. Thank God for that. This was discussing episodes 5 and 6 from the series. Now, yes, it is covering book 2 from the series. And from what I can tell, there's a little bit of change here. There's some dialogue change here. And there's actually a character name change. Excuse me. Yeah. So I think now, I should point out though, they don't have the prelude from book 2. For good reason, because it's already the 5th episode of the series. We already know what happened back in the pilot episode. We did not need reminded 5 episodes in once again. So, good job on the enemy for not adapting the prelude. We start from chapter 1, where we see Medico and his team take out some monsters. His mom basically steals the glory. Excuse me. And then, of course, we have a blimp popping by. Yes, a blimp. Well, before this, we have Mystico and Wise just chatting for a bit, and of course these letters, and of course they get invited to the school. Basically, it's just Mystico, Wise, and Porta. So they get invited to the school, and they're like, oh, by the way, the school is called Lover's Lane, and you might think, is it a change from the book? Surprisingly, no. They actually keep the name from the book. They do change one character's name here. I'll get to it. And in this episode, we introduce the character of Mechi, a healer. Yes, this episode's debut. And her mom, Mechikia. It's a slightly longer name. And you can easily tell this is her mom because of the same hair color and the same exact face. Except she's older. Yeah, this woman, it is so obvious that she's the mother. And we also hear some strange stuff, like there's some hints here that of course it's kind of started here and it's continued a little bit into the very next episode, though it's actually built toward, where somebody is saying some bad things, like there's something like a secret side of somebody here, and it's not Wise or Porta. So, and of course, his mom is basically wearing this regular attire with this very poofy collar. So they get to class, and here is actually the first change they make here. Now I should point out they do cut some lines of dialogue here, like throughout these 2 episodes, which fine, don't need to have like every single line from the book, which is perfectly fine. They do, however, we make a change. And you're thinking, what change did they make? They changed the name of the teacher in this episode. Yes. In the book, he's referred to as Bruttley. In the episode, he's referred to as Grutley. Not really sure why they changed his name for. The only reason I know the name changed because I read the book, and that's the way it looked when it was spelled in the English subtitles. Because I mentioned before, when I started viewing this series a few weeks ago, that there was no English dub for the series. Do not know why, it's just kind of weird. And you would think Funimation, who have the license to, well, stream this series over here. Excuse me. Yes, so you would think that they would dub this. Nope. As far as I can tell, there has been no media plans to dub this series. I would think they would, given the fact that, I don't know. By the way, the name of 2 episodes are, this is a territory for children, filled with hopes and dreams for children. That's the important part. The second episode is, what a beautiful girl. Wait, no, not you. Mom, don't get near me. Off in the shop. Yeah. So, like they get there, and then of course, well, they get to class, and they of course have quizzes. They have a quiz about the hero thing, and then something really strange. Like we have Medico. I think that's her name. I'm trying to get the name character right. It is. Midigai. Uh, Her mother's name is Metamama. Mm-hmm. So, yeah. So she answers the first two questions, gets 10 points, and you have Wise trying to answer a question. Now, this is not a change in the book. I should point out, though, by the way, Foundation of Stream this, but it's licensed by Aniplex America. Now, Wise tries to answer one particular question, and then she starts acting really weird, like she gets confused. Is it changed in the book? No, this actually happened in the book. And it turns out, though, it's because of a negative side effect. And, of course, then you have a question that's easy to answer by, of course, Medico, and he tries to answer, but his arm is blocked by Mitchie's mother. And it turns out, though, they figure out later that the reason why this stuff's acting really weird in class because of this woman's staff. And, of course, Medico answers the question, and then, of course, Ambrose has fallen asleep with the exception of Medico. He's the only one who doesn't because it's revealed his armor blocks it for a certain period of time. It's partial resistance, which, yeah, it's not perfect, but it's partial resistance. That's why he's able to avoid falling asleep right away. And then all the class falls asleep. And he wakes up and he gets in there going like, here I'm meant to go. The new heroines arrived. Police comes to the courtyard. He gets to the courtyard. He thinks it's some smoking hot woman. And it's his mom in a school uniform. Yes, this actually is something that was done by the character of Cerisa. Cerisa, that's right. Mm-hmm. Yeah, she is here. She actually was. She requested Memiko's help because something going on in the school, and she gave her a school uniform to wear. Oh, and they do point out though that the reason why it looks kind of short and shows off her panties is because the skirt is actually longer than it's shown in the anime. In the book, they mention this too, and it turns out the reason why it's this length because Memiko rolled up the waistband a little bit. Yes, they mention this in the book, and apparently Medico apparently notices this. I'm like, Mystica, I don't really know how the heck he would notice the fact his mom rolled up the waistband. And then, of course, by the way, when she comes to class, he does accidentally mistake her for his mom, which does happen in the book, which I found to be kind of hilarious. He's like, I'm not his mother. So, she has apologized for that. So, later on, they had her in class. And, of course, they had everybody do the whole duty thing. Now, they do cut a little bit out of her being asked to do this because in the anime, she does it anyways, of, like, bowing. And then, of course, we also have... You have Mystico where he complains about his mom being there. Of course, he just introduces himself as his mom and GP Observer. And we'll also see she has like this armor on her arms. And it turns out it's called Mother Sharing, which does block bad side effects, which, okay, good. So everything's hunky-dory because she's here. And then later on we have a cooking class the very next day. Yes, a cooking class. Where the support makes really good. And Wise tries it. Stinks. And then we have Mystico where he tries it and it explodes. Mechi, she tries to mix up. Apparently her mother's been helping her. And Mystico, being a gentleman, tries her food. And he doesn't say anything to her, just be polite. But apparently the food is really nasty. It's glop. Yeah, it was pointed out by Wise about this. So, then of course, Memiko shows up. Yes, yeah, she shows up, has some cooking, and she gets a special point. And of course, she had this thing. She breathes on the special soup that she breathes on twice. And she gets a new skill, Mother's Breath. Okay. All right, whatever. So he drinks it and he gets a boost, and the air ticket boost as well. And then, like, that next episode, this episode ends basically with something more interesting. And then yeah, and then the very next episode, it's basically, well, then they have a little, like, cooking thing. Now, they actually do cut out the reason why Memiko is here. Because in the book, they brought the fact that she had made lunches for everybody, and they actually also cut the bit that the reason why she's here is because she forgot to give him chopsticks. Yes. My guess is the reason why is because people. My guess is JC Staff, the people who, their team that worked on these 2 episodes, they probably felt as though that was probably not necessary to include here. They probably kept a lot of the story beats in here, but a little detail like that, they probably figured though that was necessary. We can easily cut it, and from what I can tell, it does not affect the story. Having Sarasa explain that she basically requested Memiko's help for this, yeah, that's perfectly fine, given the fact that she tends to help out the group a lot throughout these episodes. So, for a viewer who doesn't read the light novels, it's perfectly fine. The fact they cut it, because it's a hilarious joke in the book. So then we have the swimming episode. Oh boy! And by the way, 1 of 2 times basically we'll see Memiko in a swimsuit. I've seen a picture from the OVA where Memiko is in a swimsuit. And the OVA is, from what I've heard, not based upon the light novels. It might be an original. I don't know. I haven't got to it yet. So, we have Mechima, where she basically is wearing like a sexy one. And then, of course, Memiko comes in wearing, according to Mystico, this is actually an old style school swimsuit, and all the guys just hug around her like she's, because, well, Mystico's hot. Yeah. So, and then of course Mystico hops in the pool. They do cut the tiny bit out. He wants her into the materials in the pool. Like in the case of the chopstick thing, it's a minor detail. Cut it off if you want to. It does not affect the scene at all. So, and of course, she being pale, and of course, Michi is like, well, got close to him, and of course, her mother doesn't like the fact that she's close to that he's close to Michi. Yeah, she's a very overrated mother. So then we have the characters engage in monster attacks. So we have Wise, who apparently she tries these, but her magic's sealed. Porta, and of course, Michi uses a physical attack to basically destroy a monster. And of course, well, they have Mystico slice up a freaking octopus, which they transform into teriyaki. Which, in case you want to know, no, I've never tried this stuff at all. So he goes out and finds a particular monster. They try to go after, and then of course, Michi's mother calls her worthless, which causes her to float to the surface. And then we have a very weird monster come completely out of nowhere, and decides to wrap around Mystico. Wraps slime around her, then she sliced up the arms around her, which, yes, this happened in the book too, so don't worry about that. After she sliced up, and of course the thing goes up in the air, and Mystico's like, yay, it's in the air, because I can slice it up. And since it was sliced to pieces, despite the fact he did not earn enough points, but he did kill a rare monster, so he gets a bonus for killing a rare monster, and he's becoming number 1. And everybody's so happy. Of course, Memiko decides to put his face in her chest, which, yeah, she did this in the book too. Just very happy. Of course, a group hug, like the previous episode, group hug over the cooking. And then, of course, despite the fact everybody's like, everybody's so happy, Mechi gets slapped by her mother for daring to be number 2. And then she's like, of course, she runs off. And, of course, Mystico and Memiko decide to chase after her, and then it turns out that we were hinting at this to absolutely hear these disturbing comments from this mysterious person who turns out to be Michi, and we see her kicking a wall with her head against it. Yeah, kicking off wall barefoot because she's angry at how terrible her mother is. This will come to play in the next 2 episodes. Don't worry about that. Yep. So yeah. Really good 2 episodes. I think the stuff cut here was fine. Don't have a really big issue with it. So, yeah, that's it for Sigil Review. Stay tuned for my next video, which will be the next episode for the series. Okay? See you next video. Bye.